All right, welcome to this first ever international transatlantic edition of Overreaction Monday here on a Week 6 Monday with 2 games left on a Monday Night Football doubleheader. I'm in London, Rich Eisen. Chris Brockman back in the Rich Eisen Show, Los Angeles studios. Good to see you, Christopher. How are you, sir?
Good to see you, Rich. What's up, man?
Fresh off of a Jet-Bronco game that wasn't so fresh.
It was played.
Set to call Rams.
It happened. It was a thing that happened.
Getting set to call Rams-Jaguars on Sunday, so I'm hanging here in London for the week. You and TJ are making it out here to do the Thursday, Friday Rich Eisen shows, but we need to get right to Overreaction Monday here, whether you're watching it on our YouTube channel, over 1 million subscribers now. We appreciate every million of you. Or you're watching it here on ESPN2. Let's hit it. Go for it.
That was terrible.
That was crap. That was garbage. This place sucks.
Overreaction
Monday.
And, of course, maybe you're taking this show in like you take every podcast with your ears, where all podcasts can be acquired as well. All right, Christopher, what's on your mind, sir? What do you got
Rich,
for me?
we'll get to the game that you saw over in London in a second, but I want to start with Sunday Night Football. Those two teams, your Super Bowl teams, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
I want to start with Kansas City. Man, they really were impressive Sunday night. Patrick Mahomes is playing once again at an MVP-type level. He has been awesome this year, and the Chiefs are going to make the AFC Championship game for the 8th straight season.
I still think, as much as I'd love to say that's a proper reaction, we're still too soon. We're still too early. We're still too early to say that. You know, how the Bills can potentially make it against the Colts or somebody else from the AFC West or the Steelers is entirely possible. Could somebody else crash the party from any of those divisions? Yes. But I'll tell you what, man, the Chiefs, the way that they have played since starting 0-2, looks a lot like the Chiefs that we have come to know and fear for much of the rest of the AFC. And, you know, it was the first time they committed 0 penalties in a game since Week 10 of 2022.
Wow.
This is a Chiefs team that scored 95 points over the last 3 games. That's the most in a 3-game span within a season since the final 3 games of 2021, when we also know they made the AFC Championship game. And Mahomes has just been, as you pointed out, on fire. His second game of the season with 4 or more offensive touchdowns. He had only 1 such game in the 2 previous seasons combined. So we are seeing that offense that we're used to seeing from the Kansas City Chiefs that is a load to handle. And now here comes Rashee Rice to add to it. Again, the fact that Mahomes still leads this team in rushing and is now taking hits and delivering hits on rushes is exactly the sort of thing they need to avoid. I don't know if they're the rumors that you're hearing that they're looking for a runner in the trade market, that maybe Alvin Kamara could be that guy if the Saints keep losing. Yeah. And if that happens, then that could be sort of like the McCaffrey trade turbocharging the Niners those years ago. So I totally understand the spirit in which you're mentioning this. Chris Jones showed up. Clearly what happened at the end of that Monday night game where he stood there like Ashton Genty waiting for a snap while Trevor Lawrence was stumbling around on the ground looking for his car keys coming out of the bar after too much to drink, hopefully to pass them to a friend. So bottom line is Jones is clearly sparked by that Monday night moment, and they look terrific. They took care of the Lions. And I'll just say this, because I'm going to say it on the flagship show later on when we air on Disney Plus and ESPN app everywhere. That could have been a Super Bowl preview for sure. And I called it before the season that I think that is going to be the Super Bowl 60 matchup. And I was watching that last night thinking to myself, take mental notes, because the Lions made the small mistakes that the Chiefs took advantage of, which is another reason why you should feel good about the Chiefs moving forward in the way that you give me a topic bar. But to say that they're going to make it all the way to the final 2 of the AFC based on being 3-3, we just, even as much as I love being right. I'm pumping the brakes on this one right now.
Okay,
the way that others are playing.
Interesting.
Yeah, the way that others are playing. And I know that we're doing this coming off of a Bills loss. The Bills can potentially boat race the Falcons tonight.
Sure.
And suddenly and in 2 weeks when the Chiefs go visit them, in a couple games for the Chiefs, suddenly this whole idea is reversed. So I'll just pump the brakes on it. But the Chiefs do look terrific over the last 3 weeks in a way that should scare much of the rest of the league.
Yeah, and I think in the last couple of years, it was offense. They didn't score more than 21, 22 points a game. You've seen that with the 90-plus in the last 3 games. And they just weathered the storm without Rashee Rice, kind of mix and matching this wide receiver core. They haven't been getting much out of the run game, but Isaiah Pacheco has looked really good the last 2 weeks. They're getting more out of the rookie.
And Kelce just had his best game of the year.
Yeah, Kelce seems to
his best game of the year.
Yeah, seems to have shaken the rust off from the offseason. So, yeah, I just think they look pretty good.
Moving on.
Let's go to the other side. I think it's time to be worried about the Lions. The real Lions showed up in Kansas City. They're going to be lucky to be a wild card team.
That's absurd. That's positively
Big
absurd.
Game
now
Golf
I'm
showed
push
up.
back on that.
Big Game Golf showed up Sunday night, Rich.
You know, at Big Game Golf, the Lions just had, by this loss on Sunday night, the longest win streak of primetime games snapped. They just had the longest Sunday night football game streak of winning streaks snapped.
Regular season.
I understand, but this is Big Game Golf wins big games. And I understand in the postseason last year it wasn't that good when they got one and done by Washington. Listen, that fourth down play in the second quarter where the Lions went for it right around midfield and the ball hit Amon-Ra St. Brown in the hands as the typical Spagnuolo pass rush on a fourth down was coming right for Goff. He made a terrific throw, and it hit Amon-Ra right in the hands. And as soon as he dropped that, I thought to myself, if this is the Chiefs team that we're used to seeing over the past few years, then they're going to take advantage of it. Sure enough, touchdown before halftime, touchdown after halftime, and the game was totally flipped. So, again, you just have to tip your cap. The Chiefs team that sees the mistakes by another team committed against them, and they take advantage of it. We didn't see that Chiefs team in the first 3 weeks, and we didn't see it on occasion in the Monday night loss in Jacksonville. So I'm just going to chalk this up to they can't win them all, and they certainly are going to be a better team at home, and they're certainly going to be a better team at home against other teams that they're going to have to beat, including Green Bay. We'll see. That's going to be a big moment on Thanksgiving, and that Green Bay tie against the Dallas Cowboys might come home to roost against them because even if they sweep the Lions might be able to win enough regular season games because of that tie to just have a better record at the end of the season anyway. I'm concerned about, once again, the injuries on defense beginning to mount for the Lions, but it was once again another night in which there was a mistake made against the Chiefs and it was used against them, and them being the Detroit Lions. I'm just going to chalk that up and say the Lions are still, in my mind, the best team in the NFC, and we'll see this put on the line next week against an equally banged-up team now on offense in Tampa Bay that's now 5-1 and atop the NFC right now. So I'm going to sit here and just pull back and say by the end of the year, I think the Lions are going to be the team to beat in the NFC. Just last night, that team didn't show up for all 4 quarters.
Okay, Rich, let's talk about one of the teams that you saw Sunday in London. Look, I'm worried about Aaron Glenn. I feel like he's on one-and-done watch right now with the Jets at 0-6. But he's got to do something, and I think what he needs to do is bench Justin Fields, start Tyrod Taylor to inject a little life into the winless season.
Well, I don't know how that would be helpful. Listen, it was brutal. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. And even towards the end of the first half, the way that the Jets went for it on a fake punt to get a fresh set of downs, only to start running the football again with mere ticks left on the clock, having no timeouts left. And then that one was on Aaron Glenn in the fact that I understand he didn't want to go for it on 4th down and give the football back to Denver, which did have 1 timeout remaining to potentially kick something from 60 yards and get 3 more points on the board for the opponent. But if you are going to just take the clock down to zeros, certainly after you just fake punted, you're what you should do on fourth down with the clock going down to zeros is at least launch a Hail Mary.
Right.
I mean, that one I just didn't understand that they just went into the locker room. Like if you were taking it down to just mere seconds to go and you're going to throw a Hail Mary, that makes 100% complete sense. But they didn't. They just didn't even take the shot down the field, and it makes you wonder. I looked at Kurt Warner, and Kurt was just wondering, if you're paying this guy $20 million a year, you should just cut it loose with him. Certainly when you've got the top receiver in the AFC in Garrett Wilson. Now, the problem with that on Sunday was that the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Patrick Surtain, he wasn't traveling with Garrett Wilson, but he was lined up against him quite a bit. And there's really no number 2 option on that team other than Mason Taylor, and he's a rookie that they took straight out, or Breece Hall, and that just wasn't working on Sunday because Denver might just wind up being the best defense we're going to see all year long in 2025. They're sacking everybody at a remarkable rate. And Justin Fields, it looked like he was lost, completely lost out on that Tottenham field on Sunday. But where did the guy in week 1 against a defense that has been sacking everybody over the last few weeks at similar rate of Denver in Pittsburgh? Where is that guy? That guy still exists in there. So
he just wasn't getting rid of the ball. I mean, I don't know. What did he end up taking? 8, 9 sacks, something like that? It's like
9 sacks.
Let's design some quick throws, like some quick hitter layups. Like, let's go. Where were those?
9. Great question. 9 sacks, 9 attempts. On the day. I mean, pardon me. Let me
9
get this
completions,
this stat right. 9 completions. Yeah. 9 completions, 12 attempts. 17 attempts, pardon me, and 9 sacks taken. Look, dude, they're 0-6. What season are you saving right now? You're not saving any season. You've got to keep playing Justin Fields just to get him.
Well, if you're Aaron Glenn, you might be saving your job.
There's no job for him. Like if the Jets won and done him, it's not like he's incompetent. I being around him and being around the team, they buy into what he's selling right now. I mean, even when Garrett Wilson was demonstrative and animated going into the locker room, and rightfully so, he put his arm around the coach. I mean, I don't think it's. I mean, who knows when it gets to 0-12 if that happens. But Justin Fields is either the way through the rest of the season, or, he's a guy that they can finally figure out what to do with, and he can get enough snaps under his belt. Last year, he went 4-2 with the Steelers, and then he got benched. So he just doesn't get enough consistent playing time, and I know it looked ugly, but Tyrod Taylor's not what the Jets need to do right now. I mean, period, end of story. Unless Fields just looks completely lost against a team that isn't putting a pass rush, and he starts seeing ghosts. Garrett Wilson's going to have an MRI, and hopefully it's nothing significant. But the Jets have Carolina coming in, and Carolina has, as we know, turned their season around or towards an uptick. But they play poorly on the road, so we'll see what happens there. And then they're at Cincinnati before a bye and home for Cleveland. These are some winnable games that they should be able to take care of at home if they can actually start matriculating the ball. They played well enough on defense for a team that had the second worst points per game given up. They held Bo Nix to just 13. I mean, that game was winnable, clearly. They just didn't have any juice. They had nothing. But again, they're 0-6. This is an overreaction. Tyrod Taylor is not the answer.
This is not an overreaction. Baker Mayfield is absolutely balling. Man, he is maybe the most fun player to watch on a weekly basis in the National Football League. Baker Mayfield is the MVP, and the Bucs are going to be the 1 seed in the NFC.
I can't say that's an overreaction right now. Well, he's the MVP right now. I mean, he did it again yesterday, although he didn't have to do it. Well, he didn't have to. Here's the thing: he didn't have to do it in the final seconds or the final 2 minutes.
Right,
this was the first time they led for all 30 minutes of the second half.
Yeah, finally.
And as you know, they were tied or trailing in the final minute of regulation in each of their first 4 wins. And this was the first win of the season by more than 3 points. And he lost Ibuka during the game, and he didn't have Godwin, and he didn't have Evans to begin with. So without his top 3 receivers, and with Bucky Irving out,
exactly,
right, as well, he, without those guys, found 2 guys named Johnson 3 times. Okay, Cameron twice, on a 34-yard reception in the second quarter. He found him once for that one. And then Tez Johnson on a 45-yarder that he threw. What a dime he threw. I know it was maybe a little bit too far, just like if you're nitpicking.
Yeah, unreal catch by Tez, yeah.
Right? And he caught it and then made an incredible catch, and then even a more, like right there. Look at that,
what a photo. Nice.
For our podcast listening audience. I mean, a fingertip and hand catch right there. But the fact that I'm bringing this up, isn't just because of the, if you will, not name brand players that he threw to with his best out, okay? And beating a Niners team that, yes, they did lose Fred Warner, but they still had it, and they still had the gumption, and they still had all these young guys that were bringing the wood and playing defense, right? But that pass came a couple of snaps after yet another 3rd and long first down conversion by Baker Mayfield with his legs that started in the most muddy, ugly pocket
incredible.
That made you think the play was done and finished. And even Nance was like, yeah, he's not going to have a chance here. Like, oh, wait a minute. And then he makes that first down with his legs on 3rd down.
Lays out,
we all know,
dives. Like, oh, it was awesome.
Right? And that is what we now know as a typical Baker Mayfield 2025 play. If I'm not mistaken, let me see here. He did it against Houston on that Monday nighter in week 2. Remember that same thing. 3rd down, dead to rights. Nope. First down. And he's doing it by screaming at fans and barking at fans. And I understand before it was brash and arrogant and immature. And as he now points out, it's moxie. Yeah. It's that sort of
got the dog
swagger,
in me. Yeah.
Right? Hey, man, that's how you become MVP of the league.
Yep.
And so yesterday, again, even though it wasn't something he did the final seconds like he did in the first 4 wins of the season, this one was even more impressive, I think, because he didn't have Evans and Godwin coming in, then lost Emeka Egbuka during the game, and then he's down to receivers 4, 5, 6, and 7, and running backs 2 and 3, and offensive linemen at certain spots 2 and 3, and he's still the same Baker, man. And that with that defense, that's the way you win championships, and that's the way you win MVPs, and that's certainly the way you can be the number 1 seed, which they are currently leading the NFC right now at 5-1, with the Lions having lost to the Chiefs, and the Eagles having lost to the Giants, and the Rams having just survived against the Ravens, and the Niners having just lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs have that pole position right now, and you can't sit here and say, well, they're banged up, they're not going to do it. They just did it. So this is not an overreaction, and I'm sure you knew that was going to be my answer.
Yeah, they're super fun. I just wanted to talk about them. Love what Baker's doing. Love everything about him. Yeah, all about the Bucs right now. You know who else I'm all about, Rich? You know what's funny? On Monday, you guys gave me such grief, or Tuesday, whatever it was, when I said Drake Maye is going to be in the MVP conversation by the end of the month. Turns out I was 2 weeks too early. Behind MVP level play from Drake Maye, the Patriots are going to win a playoff game.
Dude, come on, man. Listen, you may just, and you have every reason to be all excited for this Patriots season. You should be. I mean, because things are looking up. And as I mentioned after that win against the Bills, you've got a real one. I think we're locked in on Drake Maye being for real, for sure. And Drake Maye is doing things at the position that we haven't seen there since Tom Brady. And that's a fact. First New England player with 3 passing touchdowns of 25 or more yards in a game since Brady did it week 3 of 2017. They are now above 500 through 6 games for the first time since Brady's last year in New England since 2019. He is the king of 200-yard passing games and 100 passer ratings. He's had 5 straight games. He's the 4th player since in the Super Bowl era at age 23 or younger to do that. The others are named Mahomes, Marino, and Prescott, and now guys. Drake Maye.
Yeah, heard of them.
Bro, listen, you're doing great. This is great. The New England Patriots didn't just boat race the New Orleans Saints. I mean, the Saints did have a shot in this game.
The Saints are plucky.
And that's my point to you. Chris.
Yeah, but they're winning those games. Where in the past, they would have found a way to blow those. And now they're not. Now they're stacking wins and they're stacking confidence. They had that game should have been a blowout. That was one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen. They had a 60-yard touchdown called back. They had another huge play to Stephon Diggs called back. That game was not close, but they found a way to win, and that's all that matters.
And I agree with you, and you should feel happy about that. And I think you're going to win. You're going to go to the playoffs. And it's the fact that you and I are sitting here right now, and there's 2 more games left in Week 6, and one of them is a Monday nighter where if the Bills go to Atlanta and lose, the Patriots would have a first-place possession through 6 weeks, and with a tiebreak would be not in sole possession, but would have a tiebreak up on the Bills with a visit to Tennessee next, and then a home date with Cleveland after that. And there are some highly winnable games for you. So you should make the playoffs. But to go and win a playoff game, you know how tough it is to win your first playoff game in the NFL.
Yeah, that's true. As a rookie. Yep, I got you.
I will call this an overreaction, but in the meantime, just enjoy what you have.
Oh, I'm enjoying, and I'm also projecting. And there's moves to be made. Like, they could add a receiver, they could add a running back, they could add a pass rusher, and suddenly we're talking about them as contenders.
No, and I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
And I say that with a straight face because
you're doing a great job.
No, I'm happy for you, man. You know, my wife, my brother-in-law, my in-laws, my son, they're all Patriot fans. And Cooper is so happy that Drake Maye is Drake Maye, and the Patriots are playing as well as they've been playing, and Vrabel has clearly brought it. But for the moment, I will just call this an overreaction and tell you to enjoy the moment while you have it and are living it, sir.
Okay. Well, if you're saying that's an overreaction, I'm guessing you're going to go with this one, too. It is not good in Baltimore, Rich. Another blowout loss with Cooper Rush at quarterback. And the thing is, not even Lamar Jackson can save this Ravens season. Baltimore should tank for better 2026 draft slot.
Untrue, sir. How about this? I'm not quitting on the Baltimore Ravens.
Ooh, that's a tough ship you're going to go down with there, Rich.
Dude, hear me out. They're 1-5. It's not good. Okay? And they're not used to being in this position. All right? No, they are not. Okay? But hear me out. They're 1-5. The Steelers are 4-1. I understand that. I think Florio put out a stupendous tweet that over the last 3 weeks, the Steelers are 2-0, and the rest of the AFC North is 0-9 over the last 3 weeks.
Ouch.
Okay, so the Steelers have really enjoyed watching the Bengals struggle without Joe Burrow, and the Browns switch quarterbacks, and the Ravens just absolutely fall completely apart. And, you know, record-wise and certainly health-wise. But just hear me out here, okay? The Ravens, despite being 1-5, and the last time this happened was 2015. They went 5-11 and missed the playoffs, okay? But 3 teams have made the playoffs after 1-5 start since 1990. It's entirely possible. And the 2018 Indianapolis Colts did it and made the wild card. The 2020 Washington football team won the division. I'm not saying this is going to be a 7-9 finish championship. And the 2015 Kansas City Chiefs did it. So it's been done before, number one. The man on the screen, podcast listeners, but ESPN2 and YouTube.com/Rich Eisen Show viewers, is Lamar Jackson. And the head coach said he should be back after this upcoming bye, and so is the quarterback of the defense, Roquan Smith. And my guy Kyle Hamilton was out there healthy on Sunday in that loss to the Rams, where they did play much better defense than what we have seen in past days. That said as well, you come off the bye. Let's look at their schedule. They're home for Chicago. They're at Miami, where, you know, we heard Tua, after a 3-interception performance, talk about those who are missing meetings and blowing them off. A visit to Minnesota can't be easy. At Cleveland, home for the Jets, home for Cincinnati. They've got 2 games left with Pittsburgh, another game with Cincinnati. A game against your Patriots, as we all know, is no longer a homecoming. And a very tough visit at Green Bay. Bro, I'm telling you, you do the math of they're 1-5, okay, and of their remaining 11 games, The Ravens that we all know can go out there and start beating the crap out of people. And I'm not at all for what you're saying below. Total, complete overreaction.
What I'm saying is
Total
this:
complete.
what if the Bears look great tonight on Monday night, and suddenly that game out of the bye is a loss? Now you're talking about maybe trading Derrick Henry, trading Mark Andrews, maybe these injuries that the defensive players, maybe they last a little bit longer and they don't come back. And Lamar Jackson tweaks something else, and suddenly he's shut down for the year. May not be the worst idea to kind of just mail this in, year from hell, and get a top 5 pick and kind of reload.
The Baltimore Ravens do not mail things in. That is not them. That's not them. And it'll never be them. And that's part of the reason why they're as terrific as they are. They are not going to. Derrick Henry in that terrible game against the Rams, by the way, which has allowed 3 points and no touchdowns against the Ravens, the fewest points in a game that they've allowed in 5 years. And this Rams defense is the second game this year where they didn't allow a touchdown. Derrick Henry still had his 24 for $122. So that's a positive. Let's get Lamar back. And even how good do the Bears need to look on this Monday night coming off their bye for you to think that they're going to go into a Ravens house and beat the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar and Andrews and Zay Flowers and Roquan Smith and Derrick Henry?
I don't know, man.
They need to look like 1985 good, bro.
Yeah, they got to prove it, though.
I've rode you a lot during this podcast.
The Ravens need to prove it. Prove it.
Overreaction.
Okay, Rich. Last week, I said it was time to start taking this team seriously as contenders, and I believed it. And what do they do this week? They go out and get a win. Tough home win against a team playing their backup quarterback. But when I look at the Colts, who have they really beaten?
Okay, we're putting them in the who have they really beaten category.
Well, here's the deal. I look at their schedule, right? They've beaten
Miami,
one
Denver,
win Miami,
Tennessee.
1 win Tennessee, 1 win Raiders. They really only beat the Broncos because of that weird leverage call at the end. That should be a loss, right? They lose to the Rams, and then yesterday against Jacoby Brissett, they didn't really look that great. They probably should have got beat. Arizona operating better with Jacoby at quarterback than Kyler Murray. I got to wonder, man, who is this Colts team really beating?
Well, I mean, how about the one loss on the screen there, the Rams? You were in the house that day.
I was. Whose house?
What? Well, you saw the Colts with your own 2 eyes. Did they look fugazi to you?
I looked like they lost. Looked like they didn't
do
the little things
Did they
enough
look
to get a win
fugazi
game.
to you? Did they look fugazi to you?
Yeah, they looked okay.
They looked really good. And A.D. Mitchell flipping the ball too soon might have cost them that game. So, in the same way that we're now saying they got lucky with a leverage call, they got unlucky with their own mistake. I'm going to say this is half a reaction because who have they really beaten? They have not beaten world beaters. I agree with you. They have beaten teams that have since gone south and have not really taken much of an upturn, although the Raiders did just beat Tennessee. And Miami's just been tail spinning. And as we know, Tennessee has been tail spinning. And Arizona has lost 4 in a row, although Jacoby Brissett showed how things can potentially look if the ball comes out on time in a way that maybe Kyler Murray isn't throwing it.
Yeah, and you got to think
and they did that without Marvin.
Yeah, maybe Marvin doesn't go out with a concussion in the second quarter. Maybe they pull that one out. I don't know. But I understand that this is a valid question of their opponent, but I don't think it is indicative of them being fake and unreal. The guy on the screen there, in Jonathan Taylor, that guy, as we know, is no joke. He leads the league in rushing. That's all he does is score touchdowns. There's a reason why the Colts have been superb in the red zone. It's because Daniel Jones hasn't made the mistake, and this guy's the one who's running it in, and Tyler Warren is spectacular at the tight end position. So Shane Steichen has been dialing it up, and the defense has been doing just enough. So I think the Colts are for real. But their next game is against the Chargers. And then after that,
What would you say? Would be a visit to Pittsburgh be a for real test?
I think that's a good for real
at
test.
Kansas City?
I think at
Kansas
the
City?
Chargers might be a good test too.
And how about this, dude? I don't just shoot. I just went higher.
Ooh, you did go higher register.
But how about this? Their own division is a tough test. A visit to Seattle. These are tests.
Yeah. They definitely have some tests coming up in the back half of the schedule once November hits.
But good teams make hay against the ones that they should make hay against.
Agreed.
And so I'll just tip the cap to them. But I understand the I guess literal aspect of your question is not an overreaction, but the spirit in which you're asking the question, I believe, is an overreaction. Okay. How's that sound?
I like it. All right, 2 more, Rich, and then we'll send you on your good London day. I got to go back to Thursday because that was just awesome. I love what the Giants got, the vibes, the juice. It's all there. And
right.
Cam Skattebo, man, he's kind of the main reason why. Skattebo is going to have a better Giants career than Saquon Barkley.
Dude.
Rich, hear me out. Through their first 5 full, I have stats for you this time.
It's been 6 games.
Yeah. Well,
6 games.
Through their first 5 games in a Giants uniform, Saquon Barkley had 71 carries for 308 yards, 3 touchdowns. Skattebo has 80 carries for 340 yards and 5 tutties. Skattebo's the real deal.
Well, Skattebo is the real deal, but we knew that already. I mean, when he performed the way that he performed in the college football playoffs against Texas by running it and catching it and then throwing it, we looked at him, we're like, this guy's a football player, man. Mm-hmm. This guy is just like a dynamo. This guy is energy. This guy is a winner. And then I couldn't believe it when I went to the combine, and I'm like saying to Daniel Jeremiah, I'm like, what is this guy as a grade? And it came back like 2nd-day pick, top of 3 pick, in terms of a 3rd-day pick, like top of the 3rd day. And I'm like, come on, like what is the? Again, I'm not an all-22 guy. Right. I'm not a scout.
Yeah.
I don't beat the bushes in the Big 12 or the Mountain West.
We can watch the games and see.
We were like, right, this guy's a difference maker. And when the Giants drafted him, I'm like, this guy's going to be perfect for the metropolitan area. Perfect. And in the same way where Omarion Hampton started getting more carries because Najee Harris went down and the Chargers plan, let's just ease this guy in, went straight out the window. Tyrone Tracy goes down against the Cowboys and the let's ease Skattebo in goes straight out the window also. And he's been superb. And now he and Dart are like, Tango and Cash walking around New York City.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? Like
that's so good.
This is wild. What's happening,
wild.
right? It's awesome.
It's awesome.
But not to sit here and say he's going to have a better Giants career than Saquon Barkley.
Saquon was hurt for a couple of those years. He only had a couple of good seasons in New York, and then he left. So
he did win a playoff game.
I'm just saying.
So I understand that it could be recency bias that we're seeing what Saquon's done in Philadelphia, and it raises up the production that he had in New York. Let's see, knock on wood. I don't even want to say into the microphone for Skattebo what kind of befell Saquon a little bit in New York City. There's reason to be excited. And so I guess making it into the divisional round and having a few good years of health and production and excitement. And hopefully, by the way, what Saquon did in the community as well to be a Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee and candidate for the Giants, something that Skattebo should also take note of as well, because his fame in the area could absolutely be cashed in, on the philanthropic front by him on behalf of others. So there's a lot to live up to for Saquon, but he's off to a great start.
Yeah, I saw a really funny post. Someone said that like Skattebo is going to have a deli sandwich named after him, and it's just like 8 meats slapped on rye with mustard. And it's like, hey, I need 2 Skattebos to go. Hey.
And then what you have to do is like slap it against the wall before you wrap it and serve it.
Awesome. I love Skattebo.
You know?
I love Skattebo.
Right.
All right, last one, and let's go to the other side of that. The Eagles, there's something going on. There's something going on with Hurts and the receivers. There's a lot of disconnect there. Someone other than the Eagles is going to win the NFC East.
Oh, boy, come on, man. I don't think the Giants are going to be able to put enough together to make that run, and that might age poorly. The Giants can't stop anybody. They can't stop the Cowboys can't stop anybody. They can't stop a cold. They can't stop a Dowdle. They can't stop anybody.
A Dowdle.
And we're already talking through 6 weeks about if the players are properly buying into Matt Eberflus's defensive scheme. That doesn't look great. Offensively, they're doing well, but if you stop their run game, what's going to happen? I guess Pickens will just go for a $163.
He's been unbelievable.
He has been. You got to give it up 4 straight games with a score for him. So without CeeDee Lamb, I just don't know if the Cowboys are going to be able to put it together to win that division. And I did like to see. I did like what I saw out of the Commanders against the Chargers in Week 5. Let's see what happens in Week 6 at home against the Bears team. They should beat despite missing yet more players for Jaden Daniels on offense. But same thing I said going into SoFi against the Chargers, and the Commanders showed up for the first time in 2025 looking like the 2024 version of the team. So we'll see what happens. Commanders can win this. That's for sure. If the Commanders win this game on Monday Night Football, they're right there. And then, as we know, the 2 of the last 3 games of the season are Commanders and the Eagles against each other. So this thing can go down to the wire. Absolutely, entirely possible. And that would be the team that I'd peg as I'm sounding this thing out.
And if the Cowboys can just fix that defense, Dak is playing at an all-time level for him, similar to his 2023. Yeah, it's a big if, but they have the offensive firepower to just kind of, screw it, score 30-plus every week, and as long as the defense only gives up 28, then they can win games.
Yeah.
Would have been nice to get that one on Sunday, though.
I hear you. And the Eagles, do have some concerns. There's no doubt about it. They're at Minnesota against Carson Wentz, I believe, is the game that we're going to see there. And then they have the Giants at home before a bye. And then the post-bye, weeks 10 through 12, at Green Bay, home for Detroit, at Dallas, will be
it's a gauntlet,
if you will, a particular type of cutting time for them. And so we'll see what happens over those 3 weeks. But this is entirely possible. I don't think this is an overreaction at the end of the day. I kind of talked myself into it right there, Chris. Good stuff.
Good job,
brother.
bud.
Good stuff. Great stuff, Christopher.
Good to see you, man.
I appreciate it. So the Rich Eisen Show will be emanating from London here at ABC News Studios on Thursday and Friday. You and TJ are going to be hopping a flight to join me for the Thursday and Friday shows after you do the Wednesday program. And so check out that show from here in London on Disney Plus and the ESPN app everywhere and on ESPN Radio. And then I'll be doing Rams and Jaguars from Wembley on Sunday and back at it next week, Christopher. So appreciate the 2 cents and the time.
Love it, man. That's going to be such a fun game next week, already looking ahead, but always great to do this with you, man.
I appreciate that. For Chris, I am Rich. Thanks for taking in this edition of Overreaction Monday. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.